Hi there. Well, in this video I wanted to expand on the last video I had. I basically said in a little chat while I was sitting on a chair in my last video that I changed the way I'm looking at business, and my collaboration with Martin Howie has shown me a way of doing things better and serving my clients better and making more profits for the business that I deal with. So in this video I'm going to go through a little bit more about how that will work and what we're looking at doing there. So let's get started. So just as a quick overview, we're going to have a quick look at compound versus exponential in terms of growth. We're going to look at the theory of constraints. We're going to look at the synergy effect. We're going to look at, I'm going to mention the competitive intelligence report, and we're going to go through some very briefly business optimization. So this is it basically. Compound versus exponential. When we talk about compound or linear growth versus exponential growth, what are we talking about? Well, compound growth is additional. It's linear. It's like adding something to. Best way to explain that obviously would be 5 plus 3 equals 8. All right? Now when you add a process, usually this is the sort of growth you're getting. It's just adding something to the mix. Exponential growth, however, is about multiplication. Growth happens in several directions at once, not just in a straight line. And that can be best explained by 5 times 3 equals 15. The difference is that multiplication. So does this sound far-fetched? That's the question for you, I guess. And some people will say, well, you know, there's a big difference between 5 plus 3 and 5 times 3. But the reality is it isn't far-fetched. Not if you have the right processes configured to aid and amplify the effects of each other. If they're set up in the way that they reinforce the effects of each other, that will multiply. It will become a multiple effect. And that's what we call synergistic processes. Alright, hope you're getting that. Okay, so theory of constraints. Now this is important. This doesn't really link specifically to synergistic processes, but this is something you've got to make sure you've got beforehand. So before you can implement synergistic processes, you need to remove blockages in the system and in your current processes. Now it's easy to see these blocks or bottlenecks in a manufacturing process, but it is often more difficult and more important to see them in the marketing and sales processes. So what do I mean by this? If you have a factory, and we'll use the term apple pickers, you've got an apple picker, an apple stacker, and an apple packer. And the apple picker can pick 5 apples an hour, the apple stacker can stack 12 apples per hour, and the apple packer can pack 10 apples per hour. What are we limited to? Well, we're limited to the apple picker who's doing the least amount per hour. That's our bottleneck, that's our blockage. And it's obvious to see that in that case because the others are sitting around waiting for something to do, or you'll see a pile up at some point down the process. In marketing processes and sales processes, this isn't always quite so obvious, but let's give you an example. A good example is if your conversion processes are not efficient, then it may harm your business to do more advertising and attract more customers, attract more prospects. So if you've got a problem partway down your system in terms of turning prospects into customers, there's no point front-loading that process with more prospects, because your problem is at that conversion point, not at the prospect thing. And it can actually harm your business to get more prospects. So you get more prospects in, you don't satisfy them, they leave unsatisfied and tell people that they're unsatisfied, and it's going to cost you more money to advertise and bring those people in, and you're not getting the return, the efficient return you should be. Okay, so you can actually go broke by getting more customers, and that's the situation I found myself in, helping customers, my clients before, getting more customers through social media, because they really weren't set up to handle them properly. Okay, and that's why I have changed my focus. to help people get profits rather than just more customers. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the synergy effect again. Synergy is when the result is greater than the sum of the parts. Now that's the sort of dictionary definition of synergy, and of course people will say, right, that's great, what on earth does that mean? The best example of this is if you threw a pile of ingredients into a bowl, milk, flour, eggs, sugar, butter, into a bowl, you'd expect to see a gooey mess, right? But if you followed a recipe or a process to combine these ingredients, you can create a delicious cake. So the result is better than the sum of the ingredients, better than what you'd expect from them. Okay? Your business is no different. If we can put the processes into place in the right way so that they aid each other, we can get a result that will surprise you. Right? And that's the multiplication or exponential growth as opposed to linear or compound growth. So one of the best examples of the synergistic effect in the marketing mix for business is positioning. Right? If you attempt to position yourself as the expert in your field, or you might position your company as the leader in the field, if you try and do that in isolation of the other elements of your marketing mix, you will fail, or you won't do it as efficiently as you could, I should say. Successful positioning will depend on the elements such as pricing, communication, social media and testimonials, as well as others, reflecting and supporting that positioning. So if you say that you're the leader in the field but you've got the lowest price, it's not going to wash, it's not going to feel right, and it's not going to have the effect that you want. Similarly, if your communication style is not going through a methodology that supports that positioning, then it's going to not work as well as it could, and the others. Alright? Okay, so I just want to mention the competitive intelligence report. So this is something I've got basically from Martin. I learned from Martin. When working with my clients, my first task is to put together a competitive intelligence report. So it says, you know, where are you in the market? What is the market perception of your company and products? Where are the opportunity gaps? And how can you dominate your market? The competitive intelligence report is an investment of $1,297 plus GST, which is discounted from my fees if you ever decide to work with me further. Okay. Now, obviously, I have offered a couple for free to various companies from time to time that I want to work with, so we'll see about that. Alright, so business optimization. Once we've done the competitive intelligence report, we use that as a guide for our strategy, but our first task is to clear any bottlenecks, which we were talking about before with the theory of constraints. We've got to clear those bottlenecks from your current business. This often has the benefit of clearing these bottlenecks of releasing immediate profits to your business. And as I say there, it's a nice bonus to have that immediate profits. So that's something that you can get out of this. From there, once we've got those bottlenecks cleaned up, we implement the processes that we've identified through the competitive intelligence report as being most impactful for your business. And we make sure that these processes are synergistically aligned with each other to maximize the effectiveness and the profits that you're going to receive. Okay? So finally, my resources. If you'd like to know more about synergistic business growth processes, visit theprofitwizard.com, my blog. Check out The Profit Wizard on Facebook. So I often link there to other people and other places in the net that you can get good information. Or you can connect with me, Chris Hanlon, on LinkedIn. Just search Chris Hanlon, you should be able to find me fairly easily. And that's it. It just remains to thank you for your time, and I hope this has been useful for you. Have a great day.